What is the first word on our list? Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
Is peculiar.
Okay. Mohammed, can you say that word? How do you pronounce that word?
Peculiar.
Okay. All right. So, Pachu, I'm just going to say that word. What is the second vowel sound? Peculiar. Peculiar. Q.
Peculiar.
E e u. Q. Q. You start with a smile and you finish with a kiss. Q. Q.
You. Peculiar.
That's
Peculiar.
yeah, that's better. Peculiar. Peculiar. Peculiar.
Peculiar.
Have you seen that?
Peculiar.
Do you know that word, Pachu?
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Yes.
what does that mean?
It's a strange.
Strange. Not strange, strange. Just like great. It's that same sound. Strange. Great.
Strange. Strange.
Hmm. Have you seen that word before also, Mohammed?
Yes.
Okay. So you're both familiar with it. Mohammed, can you read the first four words of that sentence?
The house had a.
The house had a. The house had a. What are the sound? Where's the big word in there? Where's the sound with the big word?
House.
Can you say that phrase again?
The house had a.
The house had a. So you've got small, big, small. The house had a. Say it again.
The house had a.
Can you say that, Pachu?
The house had a.
The house had a. The house had a. What are the next two words, Pachu?
Is a peculiar
Mm-hmm. And the next word?
smell.
How will you say those two words together?
Is a peculiar smell.
Okay. Which word do you think is bigger in that phrase? Peculiar or smell?
Is a peculiar.
Why do you think that should be bigger?
Because it is an adjective.
Yeah, so you make it
And
you pronounce it in you pronounce it in a bigger way because it's an adjective. That's right.
yes,
And which syllable do you think we should pronounce in a big way?
peculiar.
Q,
Pe-
Q, Q,
Peculiar.
Q.
Yeah.
Peculiar smell. Peculiar smell.
Peculiar smell.
The house had a
Peculiar.
peculiar smell.
The house had a peculiar smell.
Muhammad, can you say that?
The house had a peculiar smell.
Peculiar, peculiar house, house, Q. The house had a peculiar smell.
The house had a peculiar smell.
Yeah, we're just building our big, small, big, small, big, small rhythm. What are the next two words, Muhammad?
That I.
Okay. Do you think that those should be pronounced in a big way or a little way?
Little way.
Okay. So we can add that. We can make smell, that, and I like one word. Smell that I. Smell that I.
Smell that I.
Smell that I.
Smell that I.
It's like one word. The house had a peculiar smell that I.
The house had a peculiar smell that I.
Okay. Pachu, can you say that? The house had a peculiar smell that I.
The house had a peculiar smell that I
Okay. And what are the final two words, Pachu?
couldn't identify.
Which word do you think is more important? Couldn't or identify? Uh, I don't know. I think I would like to let's see. The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify. It could be either one,
No.
but for some reason I like couldn't more.
Oh, yes.
I know that I tell you it's usually the final word, but that's why I say usually because sometimes it isn't.
Yes.
I don't know. Just to me, like when I hear it in my head, I like emphasizing that there's no rule to this. Okay, so it's really
Yes.
you can be creative, but I just think it sounds better if you say couldn't big.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll emphasize the could part.
And also think that it has negative. Yeah. So we should stress on it.
Stress on what? On the could you mean, or on the nt?
Yeah. And
Like couldn't. Do you know? It's funny. I was reading in a book that normally you do not. You normally wouldn't. It doesn't make sense, but you normally would not stress the negative part. Isn't that weird? I can't tell you why,
yes.
but
Yes.
I was reading
Weird.
because it makes sense that you would do that, but normally we don't. I'm not sure why that isn't. That is like the house isn't big. You barely hear the int part. The house isn't big. It's just a little sound, right? That's very normal.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Do you, maybe we could let's see, I couldn't identify. No, I wouldn't, I wouldn't even emphasize anything in identify. It sounds a little bit too it sounds fake. So it's
Okay.
couldn't identify. Couldn't identify.
I I couldn't identify. I couldn't identify.
The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
Peculiar or peculiar? Which one is better?
Peculiar.
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 Peculiar. Okay. The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify. Try.
The house had a the house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
Okay. Mohammed, can you say the entire phrase?
The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
Okay. The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify. Say it again.
The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
Okay. How many phrases do you think we could separate this sentence into, Mohammed?
Two phrases.
How many?
Two phrases.
Okay. Which is the first phrase?
It will end at a smell.
It ends at smell. So let's separate that. Okay. Now, in the first phrase, the house had a peculiar smell. What do you think is the most important word?
Peculiar.
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 That's a hard word to say. Uh, do you want this phrase to sound serious or happy and friendly?
Happy and friendly.
Happy and friendly. Okay. So that means we should use a high tone. We should say peculiar. We should put a high tone in there, but it's the end of a phrase, so we also have to make it low because it's the final part of a phrase. So we'll say peculiar smell.
Peculiar smell.
Peculiar smell.
Peculiar smell.
How should the phrase start? Should it start with a high tone or a low tone?
Oh,
High. Okay. The house had a peculiar smell.
the house had a peculiar smell.
Panchu, can you say that phrase?
The house had a peculiar smell.
Okay. What about the final phrase, Pachu? How would you like that to sound? Do you want to sound serious or light?
Serious.
You want to sound serious? Okay. So instead of going high, will go low. But how should we start our phrase? Should the phrase start high or low?
The high.
Okay. That I couldn't identify. That I couldn't identify.
That I couldn't identify.
Mhm. The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
Mohammed, can you say the entire phrase?
The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
Okay. Mohammed, can you make a what kind of smell house have question?
What is the smell that the house have?
What kind of? What kind of? What kind of?
What kind of smell that the house have?
Okay. Are we talking about the past or the present?
That the house
Okay. So
had.
how will you make the question in the past?
What kind of smell that the house had?
How do you if you have okay, here's a sentence. The house had a. Okay, that's our phrase. The house had a. How will you make a yes no question? A basic question with the house had a.
Did the house have a?
That's right. That's your question form. Now you can say what kind of smell.
What kind of smell does the house?
No, we're talking about
Uh,
the past. What remember that had.
did
Go ahead.
what kind of smell? What kind of smell that the house have? Did the house have?
Did the
Did the house have?
did the house.
Did the house
What kind of smell
have?
did the house have? Again?
What kind of smell did the house have?
The or the? The house or the?
The the house.
Okay. What kind of smell did the house have? Again?
What kind of smell did the house have?
Okay. What is in that question, what kind of smell? What do you think is the most important word in that phrase? What kind of smell?
What
Well, if you have like a single word question, what time is it, or when are we leaving, then maybe you would focus on that wh word. But this is a phrase. This is what kind of. And so what is the most important word in that phrase? What kind of?
what
Kind.
kind
So suddenly when you have a phrase, the rules change, and then you have to say kind. What kind of? What kind of smell?
what kind of smell did the house have?
Uh-huh. One more time.
What kind of smell did the house have?
Pachu, can you make that question?
What kind of a smell did the house have?
What kind of smell did the house have? Okay. And what is the answer, Pachu?
The house had a peculiar smell
Okay. That I couldn't identify.
that I couldn't identify.
Mohammed, what kind of smell did the house have?
Peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
Yeah, tell me the whole sentence. Tell me the complete sentence.
The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
The house or the house?
The house.
The house. Okay. That I couldn't or that I couldn't?
Sorry?
That I couldn't or that I couldn't?
That I couldn't.
Right, right. So tell me again. The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
The house had a peculiar smell that I couldn't identify.
Okay. Uh, Pachu, can you see the sentence that I have up on the screen now?
Yes,